What was your family's cruelest rule? Dad made us take turns spending 24 hours locked in the basement reflection room based on daily performance rankings. The scoreboard hung on the refrigerator like a death sentence written in dry erase marker. Dad updated it every night at exactly 7 p.m., his handwriting sharp and methodical as he recorded our daily scores in 4 categories: academics, household contributions, attitude, and what he called personal responsibility. My name was Kieran, and I spent more nights in that basement than either of my siblings combined. The reflection room had concrete walls that sweated in summer and froze in winter, a single bare bulb that Dad controlled from upstairs, and a metal bucket in the corner that I learned to empty the moment I got out because the smell would cling to my clothes for days. The system started the week after my 13th birthday when my older brother Declan got caught smoking weed behind the gym. Dad came home from the principal's office with this look on his face like he'd discovered a personal mission. He called a family meeting and explained that our household was implementing a new structure based on measurable performance metrics and natural consequences. He'd been reading management books again, the kind with titles about optimal productivity and eliminating weakness. Mom sat on the couch with her hands folded, nodding at appropriate moments but never quite meeting our eyes. My little sister Bryn asked what metrics meant, and Dad told her she'd learn soon enough if she wanted to avoid the basement. Dad explained the rules with the enthusiasm of someone unveiling a revolutionary idea. Each of us would be scored daily on our performance across multiple life domains, with points awarded or deducted based on objective criteria he'd developed. Grades below 90% meant point deductions. Incomplete chores meant point deductions. Talking back, staying up past bedtime, leaving dishes in the sink, forgetting to make your bed, everything had a point value attached. The family member with the lowest cumulative score at the end of each day would spend the following 24 hours in the reflection room to contemplate their failures and develop improvement strategies. Dad said this with a straight face, like he was describing a summer camp activity instead of solitary confinement for children. The basement was unfinished, with exposed pipes running across the ceiling and concrete floors that turned my feet numb, even through socks. Dad installed the deadbolt lock himself that first weekend, drilling into the doorframe while we watched from the stairs. He explained that the lock was necessary for the integrity of the reflection period, that interruptions would compromise the psychological benefits of sustained self-examination. The room contained a single folding chair, a scratchy wool blanket, and a metal bucket that Dad said demonstrated his consideration for basic human needs. No phone, no books, no entertainment. Just you and your thoughts and the slow passage of time, marked only by the occasional sound of footsteps above. I spent my first reflection period 3 days after the system launched. I'd gotten an 86 on a history quiz because I'd mixed up 2 dates in the French Revolution, and that 15-point deduction put me below Declan and Bryn for the day. Dad walked me to the basement door after dinner, his hand heavy on my shoulder as he explained that this wasn't punishment, but rather an investment in my future success. He said successful people learn to confront their shortcomings directly, that discomfort was the catalyst for growth. Then he locked me in, and I heard his footsteps receding upstairs, followed by the sound of the TV turning on. Mom and Dad watched their Thursday night shows while I sat on the concrete floor, trying not to think about the next 23 hours. The cold seeped into my bones within the first hour. I wrapped the blanket around my shoulders, but it was thin and scratchy and provided almost no insulation against the November chill that turned the basement into a refrigerator. The single bulb cast harsh shadows across the walls. I could hear the furnace clicking on and off, pushing warm air to every part of the house except where I was locked. I tried doing push-ups to generate body heat, but my arms gave out after 20 and I just lay on the floor breathing hard. Time moved differently down there, each minute stretching into something elastic and undefined. I had no watch, no window, no way to mark the passage of hours except by listening for sounds from upstairs. The worst part wasn't the cold or the boredom or even the bucket. The worst part was hearing my family continue their normal lives directly above me. I could hear Mom doing dishes after breakfast, the clatter of plates and rush of water. I could hear Bryn practicing piano, the same scales over and over. I could hear Dad's voice giving instructions, praising Declan for completing his chores early, telling Bryn she'd earned bonus points for cleaning the bathroom without being asked. They were living and laughing and eating meals together while I shivered in a concrete box, and the message was clear. My presence in the family was conditional on my performance. Love, warmth, belonging, all of it could be withdrawn if my scores didn't meet the threshold. Declan brought me breakfast the next morning, sliding a plate of cold toast and peanut butter through the gap at the bottom of the door. He whispered that he was sorry, that he'd tried to argue with Dad about the history quiz being unreasonable, but Dad had given him a lecture about enabling failure and added a note about Declan's attitude to the day's scoring. My brother's voice carried a warning: don't make it worse by complaining, just accept it and do better tomorrow. That's when I made the biggest mistake of my life. Full story is linked below or on my channel.